Upcoming, still showing as upcoming. There you go. Let us see what is working, what is not working. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to whoever is watching this stream, I suppose. While I'll just make a quick short announcement to the people who do come online to watch this. Alright. Let's see, what are we doing today? Alright, brief explanation of what happened last time and what we're going to be doing today. We created thumbnails of like what designs we could make, right? And decided on what we could go ahead with. Actually, even though personally I picked number 7, my team decided to pick number 2. And what is my cat doing? My team decided to pick number 2. And in the previous stream, we were talking about basically how thumbnails and color palettes help decide and make quick decisions on what we want to make in terms of design and whatever you want to quickly lay out, so that then you can go into details for the color palette or overall environment, mood, etc., whatever else you want to add into it, right? So yeah, I think we'll go with number 2. We won't go with number 7 because this was like a one-person call, while my entire team was like, "Hey, we want number 2 on this." So let us just remove everything. Just not to the top. Right, I'll just pull it all the way to the top because now it's importante. But then now we need to create variations for this one. So what we'll do is I'll pull this out. I don't need as many variations as I created in the previous one. Just like you could say better versions of this, which will have a little more detail than what the current thumbnail has. So I'll just name them like this. Probably increase the size of this one as well. Right, it's gonna blur out my character, to be honest. But what I'll do is create like this level of space. I think I'll probably put this up top. And then one more. Probably this one can come here, and this one can come here, and this one can be here. So I'll probably create 3 at most. I don't think we need more. We could actually. I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe we don't need more. But like at least 3 or 2 of them, because we already have a clear idea of what we're gonna do in terms of like overall mood and this. So I'll just show you guys how I go forward with this, right? Like I already have this level of detail. What one thing I'm missing out is the reference files. I will shift the reference files out of the folder, subfolder of there. This is always a problem with Photoshop. Alright. So we got like this amount of reference files, right? So I'll be working on this one first. So just update the details of how I want all the information on this. So like one requirement that my design team was like, I mean my, dev and design team was telling me was like, hey, could we have a mountain in the middle? So I'll play along with that and create a mountain in the middle. But again, it's still early phases of what you call it, like making it simple rather than super detailed right away. So probably no, I won't do that. I won't do that. I could do this though. I got a better idea. I could do this. Oh, maybe I know. I'm just too lazy. I mean, yeah, I could always do it later. So, right, volcanic mountain. Can we have a volcanic mountain in the middle? Is what they were asking. I'll make two versions, one with the volcanic mountain in the middle, one with the volcanic mountain like on the sides or something like that, like not too much in the middle. But yeah, I'll create two versions like this. And what I'll do is I'll showcase it to them, asking them like, hey, like these are the two versions I've created. Do let me know what you guys think. Thankfully, this is stylized and not super realistic, so I don't have to worry about the level of detail. If this was like super realistic stuff, then they'd be like, oh yeah, we need that level of detail and all that stuff. So, well, normally if it was super realistic, I would photo bash things. You do not have the time to paint everything, so, most of the time it would be like, hey, could you photo bash this instead? Kind of process. So, yeah, working on that, add a little bit of it's too big, so we're gonna flowing along. Still not detailed because there'll be changes. Well, the amount of detail these thumbnails will have is more than the previous one, that's for sure. But like it's not that detailed. So most of the time what we'll do is like we'll just still be creating gestures of what this piece is gonna be like. And then from there on we will actually then start adding more amount of details in this. But like just need to create some smoke particle effect. This is not a good brush for smoke, that's for sure. Like if I'm to showcase you a good brush, I was doing this yesterday to get a better idea. Here you go. I was just experimenting yesterday with like how I could make clouds or like anything that is like fluffy in nature, and this was like the experiment, like how I could paint clouds and just make it really good. So like the idea was like the current brush that I'm using, the texture brush which I'm using, I was using that initially to lay out all the colors, And then after that, I would use like different other kinds of brushes to smoothen out things and to give that effect. Like a lot of reference was used, so obviously I'm looking at references while I'm making these clouds. But like, yeah, that was the idea. So yeah, this is basically one of those other paintings that I was working on. I was like, okay, how am I going to make clouds? I'll probably make the the ground and the land and everything later on today or something. Like when I'm not streaming. That one I'm not streaming, at least not yet anyways. Maybe in the future I'll stream that. But that was not I had no intention of streaming that painting at all. Um, that also leads to me to say like I do more than one painting a day, so it's always like that. Like I'm not finishing more than one painting a day, but more like um, I'm just like I'm just drawing a lot. So it's like either drawing a lot, playing games, because games are like playing video games is what gives me inspiration to most of the things. But yeah, I do draw a lot. Like I draw a lot. So yeah, I would like create this. Like sense of smoke, a little bit of a particle effect or something like that. So we've got a mountain in the middle. I could create like a sense of like, oh, it's exploding or something like that. It's completely fine to showcase that. But you know, it'll change in like post processing in production time during 3D. Like maybe the 3D artist will say like, hey, we cannot animate that part. So they'll be like, oh no, we can't do the animation there. So it'll just be a still image. So we're not going to show explosions or anything. We'll just showcase you know, processes. Like in this case right now I'm still using a lot of touch up from the color palettes from the photo textures because I'm just like picking colors there. Although I don't need to. Um, but yeah. So this is like this is a slow process most of the time because you need to like set everything and make it look decent enough. So it's like always a slow process making this stuff. But yeah, creating the rock textures like this is relatively easier than trying to paint with a round brush. But not saying round brush cannot be used, but it's just faster this way. Um, Brushes don't matter most of the time, at least, but they do matter when you want to create textures real quick. I mean, in real life, if you're a painter on canvas, you'll use different brush techniques and different kind of strokes to create textures, right? You would splatter the brush if you wanted to create a splatter effect. You would like uh, use a different brush, like maybe a thicker brush or like a more thinner brush if you wanted to like paint details or you wanted to create broad strokes or stuff like that. So at the end of the day, yeah, different brushes are used. So the whole concept of like brush absolutely does not matter is like a joke sometimes. Like it does matter to a certain extent. So yeah, there you go. No, I'm not trying to make spiky mountains. That's one thing for sure. Don't really want that. But yeah, I'm creating like a cesspool of like how there will be like a lot of lava and all that stuff. So the part of thing that where I say the detail won't be as a lot will be probably like the plain ground that I'm creating. You know, probably does not require a lot of details. I could create it, don't really need it. The main is like the mountain behind, right? Because this is like 100% visible, even though you're like playing the game, for example, but like the ground won't be as much as important as the mountain behind. The mountain's gonna be like taking most of the focus of the environment on the backside of the. So yeah, you paint this part. Maybe I don't need that much. Try to create more clouds here. I really like this one glow. The other one I had created. So I'll do that a little bit. And probably a little bit of I'll actually show in a bit like how I'm making the cloud texture or the smoke texture. It's not very hard to make those. So I'll show in a bit how to make that. But like I wanted to create like this sense of uh asymmetry between the left and the right side of the painting, because otherwise it looks just too symmetrical, and I don't like too symmetrical. So I just wanted to create a sense of asymmetry over here. There you go. Alright, and maybe this one also is like volcanic or something. So it's got like puddle created here. It's not that important as far as the main mountain is, so it's not going to be as bright, like just a hint at best. Right. So this is the part where I'm saying like, oh, okay, it exists as a piece. What you say? It exists as a level of detail, but like it's not that detailed. I don't know how to explain this part, but like basically that. Probably create some smoke effects. Same goes here. Nice and dark. So you can create it like this. And then what I do is I actually use another brush for doing this part, because my texture brush is like very so like that. Create the sense of smoke. Create a level of layer of separation. Yeah, so today I've like a lot of painting processes rather than like explanation work. So it's a much more chill stream, which is painting. Yeah. I am still looking at like the overall, like I'm still looking at the references to how to paint that. Like I never not look at references. Some people are like, I'll look at references once and then I'm done. I assume those people are really gifted. I don't have that gift, so I'm still looking at references. I want to give this shape because shape out of it's like directional smoke in a way. There you go. You see, that's giving like much more level of detail in terms of like painting that. Remember, this is still a thumbnail, so it's not really an amazing intensive piece yet. So, like a little bit of a horizon atmosphere thing, which will be like just make it look cool. And it also creates like a Bangalore volcano, yeah. Thank you. Um, it also creates like this separation between two layers. So like you can clearly see now the silhouette of the mountain. So you don't have to really focus on the detail of the mountain itself. Right? And then coming back to the ground below, what I'm gonna do is just create like these pools flowing a river kind of thing. The cool thing about creating these kind of would you say, these kind of environments is that you can get away with like just creating a sense of detail rather than the actual detail itself, solely because most of these environments don't focus a lot on um like integrate stuff. It's more just like rocks, just rock, just a lot of rocks. So when you're making environments like this, it's relatively simpler to make something like this and be a little messy and get away with it. But like say for example, if I was drawing like an environment which involves like some sort of a city or anything man-made and stuff like that, um, that'll be a little more harder to actually make because there will be like, oh, you gotta make all the symmetrical stuff as well. Like symmetry is a little harder to paint all the time. Now, one thing my team was asking was, can you create snow on the mountain? Which is actually a yes, we can create snow on the mountain. With like, they were like, can you create snow on the mountain? Because we would like we would like it to be a snowy mountain that is also volcanic at the same time. Basically Mount Fuji or something. So they wanted me to create snow. So the easy part is just change the value and you will get snow. The hard part is it shouldn't blend too much with the environment, which is already quite on the brighter side of values, right? So yeah, snow on the mountain do be that way. And then this part will be the brightest on the top. just to give that hint of don't shy away from references. It is always encouraged. Use references all the time because it gives you a clear distinction in like how those mountains are as well. Like if you look at the reference on the extreme left, there's a snowy mountain with like volcanic activity going on over there. And if you look at the mountain, it's like very um, it's got this very nice shade of blues to it on the sky, and then like that's like a much more warmer tone. You could try that as well, you know, it doesn't matter. And then I could create like something like this. Just to give like noise. See that? So it's like it's creating detail but not detail, but like, you know, doesn't really have the detail. It's more like a painting. But it feels like, oh shit, there's a detail. How's that happening? Yeah. What's happening here? I hope they're not shooing my cat. If they're shooting my cat, they'll get a shoe on their head. Okay. Okay, it's not my cat. But they'll still get a shoe on their head for shooting cats like that. Like it's someone outside, I guess. So yeah, there you go. This is Volcano Mountain 101, I guess. And then probably this one will also have a little bit of snow. Just to emphasize it's a mountain as well. Right. There you go. See that? That's already creating a sense of detail. And it's not a lot, it's like pretty okay level of detail. And magma is however a pain in the ass to work with. So this should give you a certain amount of information of what's happening in the foreground as well. Honestly, it's not needed, but we have it there. Most work like this is all about like just planning and getting the design approved, and then after that just like planning to finish. Most of these work are like that. So like they don't really have like a huge amount of information in terms of like how much fidelity of detail do you need inside that piece. Not right away, at least. It's like a building process. So that's just how it works. So I'm deliberately leaving a little bit of the edge over there of the mountain just to create a separation between the sky and the mountain, because the sky is a bit too close to my color. Maybe I could add a little bit of blues here, but I feel the blue is a bit too saturated. So what I'm going to do is I'll take this blue, of course, and I'll desaturate it up a bit. See, there you go. Probably not needed, but I'm doing it anyways. Maybe it's a bit too desaturated, man. Slightly more blues there. Right. So there you go. This will be the blue that I'll be adding to it as a tone. Right. And what I'll do is take this brush. I should name that brush so that I can search it easier next time. Right, so this will be like I have to be careful on like I don't make the background that saturated as the foreground so that the foreground colors start competing with the BG colors, you know. I can't do that. So I'll play it safe. Like as a in the paint release sense of things. But yeah, you'll get this something like this. Right? There you go. What I'll do is another thing I'll do is I'll add a little bit more here. Right, so this is like already looking better if I remove the reference files. It's already looking better than the first one. The first one had like a good amount of detail, but like the second one now has like way more detail. But if you when you add detail to the background, normally what happens is it starts getting added into um the information that starts competing with the foreground. So most of the time I create like this light atmospheric fog just to cause the foreground to pop out a bit. There you go. Maybe not. Yeah, there you go. And at the same time I could use like the oranges to create like a sense of like, okay, it's a much hotter foreground there. See that? So it'll create that, and that's probably like one version variation of the painting that I'm creating. Now, what I'll do is I still have to work on the first one as well, but I'll get to it in a bit. What I'll do is I'll work on this guy here. This here a bit. There you go. I'll work on this guy. All right, the one at the bottom and in the middle. And what I'll do is I'll play around with the color components here to a slight bit that I want. I'll add a warmer sky, and probably a mountain in the side instead. I have a feeling the one which I was previously working on just now will get picked because of the way my designers were like, hey, can we pick that one? Can we have this mountain with this? They had something in mind when they were working on it, so like I was like, okay, yeah. So normally you do this, you create like variations so that it enables your teammates to come up with ideas. So this is like a very common practice as a concept artist. and then you'll just create this. Right. Something over here. A lot of times I don't even keep this on, like I just need to see what is going on in the back. Right. I don't even know who else used to do this kind of paintings. There you go. This will be the mountain with volcano. Probably gonna remove this part for now and then paint in again. Right. Like I'll start deciding where the light is, where the shadows are, all that stuff, you know. Like I want the background to be a little more faded because it's like far away in the environment, so it's not gonna have a lot of details that will be popping out. Right. So it'll be a little more faded. Probably it's like this is the one which I'll be showcasing, like it's probably daytime a bit more, so there's gonna be a hue of light. Right. And then for this, probably a little bit more of this. Yeah, so basically I'm just changing the sky, the color of the sky, which alone single-handedly like kind of changes the whole mood and of the environment kind of thing. So yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing. So it will give you a different level of detail. And then this foreground is normally darker. And then this has like a barren wasteland kind of thing. I don't know. It could have a huge pool of magma. I could do that. I could totally do that. I'd probably create like a, a path to how this is going. Probably another one here. Just break it apart. Naturally, nothing is like linear or straight, right? Most of the stuff is like always, like if you look at nature, it's very arbitrary. But like, so that's what I'm looking at in my references as well and coming up with like, oh, that's how it works. Right, and then that'll give me a sense, because it'll be all ashened and filled with a much darker or like a brighter hue of things and all that stuff. So all that stuff that you look in the nature, you look at as references, and then you start thinking like, how are you gonna paint it, basically. Probably it's not very strong. It will be like pretty, because it's like far away kind of thing. Right. Take this, probably mark it a little bit. So once that is done, once that is done, then I plan how I'm gonna paint all this like with more detail. The more detailed planning I think will happen once I get a feedback on this. But if you look at all this, a point to be noted, if you look at all this, you're kind of completing this in less than a week because it takes you like half a day to create the first batch of thumbnails. The second half of that same day to create the details once the or variations once one of the thumbnails and mood and everything is selected. And from the next day or the following day, you're just planning how to paint it down. And then you start painting it. So if you look at the workflow, you're actually completing it in like maybe you're taking a week to finish a painting. Like for environment backgrounds like this. Of course, I am staying with the sole intention that the person who's doing this is like already has a very good understanding in fundamentals as a painter. So yes, that skill is important and it is required. Can't help it otherwise, my dudes. Oh, thank you, Milo. Milo is here. Imagine drawing while this zoomed out. I'm looking at the chat now. Uh, wait, what the hell? Why did I get... Today I got more number of views? Yay, party! I'm just kidding. So, what I'm saying is, I don't know who's currently viewing it, but like, um, a good way to exercise and like improve in your painting dynamics is like spend more time painting rough paintings rather than finished paintings, where you are experimenting and giving yourself the space to create workflows. Most of the time, a beginner artist has a very poor to no workflow. And that's okay because you're just starting out. But like the goal should be is like as you're learning how to draw, you create a workflow for yourself. And it is tiring, it is like tedious and frustrating it all the time. However, if you're creating a good workflow, you'll be able to paint like much better and probably even much faster. Because then you will be like you'll be thinking on how you want to paint a certain thing before you actually put a stroke down on your paper or digital media or whatever you're using. I mean, I treat this as well. I treat digital art also like I'm painting on paper or canvas. It's more like um, digital paper, you could say. So like it's the same thing, but yet different. You know, it's hard to explain that part, honestly, but yeah. So I'm creating like the sense of um snow. Create snow, of course. Creating also painting from life is really important. A lot of people do this as studies, and that's a good thing. Just remember, don't put your studies on your portfolio. Really don't do that. Um, if you're a concept artist, your portfolio should be more design than anything else. So if you're creating a portfolio for concept art, spend more time showcasing your work in like how you've designed things. So like these thumbnails, for example, they can be like a piece added to your final production painting. So let's just say I create the final background, right? The final background and how you reach the final background, the process basically should be something on your portfolio. So it could be idea exploration, your sketches, also your references that you're doing with the thumbnails, and your final production piece. When you create a portfolio around that, then like people will clearly have a better understanding like, oh, okay, this person's a concept artist. They're they're doing their research while they're doing their paintings, so definitely someone worth looking into. So like that's how you'll get your work, like, you know, never consider a career in art gang. What the heck? I mean, I was just stating it out for people who might consider. So of course you can also consider it. Don't worry about it. But like yeah, that's how your art portfolio is, and it's also a good way. Like say for example, you're not looking for a full-time job, right? It's also a good way to look at. It's also a good way to present your portfolio the same way to get like commissions. So people have a very clear understanding what kind of stuff that what are the things that you make as an artist. If you're an illustration person, then it's the illustration matters the most. Like, you know, showcase your illustrations, showcase how you make them, and all that stuff. It matters. So you can do all that and then some. Alright, so this is a mountain, this is another mountain. Too straight, to be honest. Mountains are never like perfectly triangular. It's just kids used to draw it that way. And then I take this brush, clean up a bit. I could actually use an airbrush as well, but I don't like to use an airbrush so much. I still not drawn the smoke clouds, so that's also coming. But yeah, these are like a little more detailed thumbnails. You spend more time on it. Like if you've seen my previous video, I was spending less time on a single thumbnail, but I was spending more time on like the quantity. Because there I was like trying to break down like what kind of thumbnails I need to make. What is the idea behind the whole thing? Here I already have the idea, now I'm making variations. So I'm adding more detail into the drawing. So yeah, that's basically the difference between the previous painting and the thing I'm doing today. It's basically this process, right? Because you're just adding more and more and more and more layer of detail. So um once you reach to a certain point, you'll be like, okay, I need to now just you take one from all the paintings and then just keep adding details into that. That's it, end of story. So that's where you're like just making the complete painting. But by the time you reach that point, you're like, I already know what to paint because you've done the breakdown of all the details that you needed to work on. So that's how paintings work, man. of the time these days. I'd say the one thing that I would struggle painting details into would be this magma itself. Like painting the volcano, the mountains and the ground and everything is not so hard compared to painting the magma and all this flowing river of fire with all means necessary. So this is actually pretty freaking hard to do. But I'll get there. When the time comes, I'll probably be able to paint that. So there you go, a little bit of more design detail, like some glowing effects here, you know, because it's still fire. Like I've not seen like real volcanoes. Sadly, in real life, I've not seen any of that, so I'll just have to go with the whatever is the internet is providing me and hope that it is accurate. And then like probably paint in a little bit of smoke. I'm being very shrewd with creating smoke because I'm creating smoke in areas where I just want to create a layer of separation between like the elements of the design. And the other places are just like I'm just leaving them as is. But still, when you look at it, you'll be like, oh, okay, there's smoke here, it makes sense. But no, I'm being smart. I'm being very smart and cheeky about it. That's why I call it Art of Cheeky Man. Alright, so this is the reason why I painted the environment scene a little brighter. Is because I wanted to create dark smoke. See that? I take it from here. Wanted to create dark smoke, and it will just create more information and visual depth. And the edges could be a little bit more blurred, like they're blending, because smoke is smoke. It's still air, like just a higher density of air. So what will happen is that it'll create like this sense of visual depth. Now what I'll do is I'll deliberately add a little bit of effects here. So that's the mountain there. Shh. What up, Nino? Which cat is fighting? There's some cat war happening outside. Oh, okay. It's those two. I don't know if anyone can hear that in the mic. There are two cats fighting. What motivated you to make a fighting game? Fighting games is something that I grew up on, so it's like it just makes sense that I'll eventually move into that. I've been working on, like, I think all the while that I've been training as a concept artist, I kind of worked on a lot of other games, and a lot of them didn't see the light, like the project failed or something like that. But um, at some point, I was just like, I want to go back to making fight. I want to go back into fighting games because that's something I still play till date, and I still you know, I still enjoy playing fighting games the most compared to any other genre. So I was just like, yeah, if I'm already someone who enjoys playing fighting games and I like, you know, the mechanics and the gameplay of fighting games, it would make more sense for me to actually work on fighting games. Um, that was the whole thing. Since then, car militia mobilized. Since then, the change went from I want to be a concept artist for a game company to I want to be a concept artist and eventually even into game design for fighting games only. And probably just work on that genre for the rest of my life. Like that was basically what happened. And I was just like, okay, you know what? I don't care. I like maybe fighting games, maybe not making the most amount of money compared to other game companies and other bigger IPs and all that stuff, but I don't really care. Like I just want to make fighting games. So that's basically what happened. That was my conscious decision in like I wanna I don't wanna do other game genres if necessary if I get the option to work on fighting games and fighting games alone. Sadly in India though, there is no company that's making fighting games right now. Just saying, putting it out there. Um if you wanna work in a fighting game company though, you probably wanna go try to apply to a company abroad. Not gonna be easy. It'll be 10 times harder than actually applying for a company within the country. Most people know the reasons why it's difficult to get a job in in a different country. A lot of there are a lot of restrictions, especially in today's times. So, um, like not something I really have to go over it, but yeah, that's basically the gist of everything. Right, so overall design, this is done. Probably I could make it smaller. Give it like a sense of I don't know why I'm painting that, but it doesn't. It's not really needed, but like I'm just painting. But yeah, if you look at this now, this thumbnail has way more detail than the other thumbnails, like the previous thumbnails that I was working on so far. And again, once again, I will add a little bit of atmosphere because you can't live without it. A bit of a pink tone, just like a little bit of a dab-like thing. Don't want to destroy the details because of it, but you want to add like a little bit of that information there. Slightly tone it down just for the environment to pop. I mean, for the foreground to pop. There you go. That's it. That's it. There. That should give you more than enough information for the second thumbnail. So you notice like like how much it like just gives you better level of detail kind of thing. Just remove this part, remove this part. Just keeping my thumbnail shapes consistent. Just for presentation purposes. It's not really needed, but yeah, it gives you I don't know why this is happening. There you go. Everyone is busy with PUBG and Free Fire. That's how you pronounce it. PUBG. I don't know why this is why I just know a lot of people who say that. Like even in the previous workplaces, they used to say that like PUBG. And I'm just like, bro. Yeah, PUBG and Free Fire is one of the most played games in my country. I mean, Nilo is from my country, so I don't have to tell Nilo that. But like other people who are watching, like Aki was watching. Aki is not from my country, so yeah. Uh, PUBG Mobile. Yeah, it's the most popular game. It's free to play, easily available, accessible to most fellow Indian natives. So it makes sense that that is the most played game. Nothing wrong with it. You can play PUBG. You can play Free Fire. It's a good game in a way, but uh, not my taste, right? Everyone has different tastes, so not my taste. I want to play fighting games. I want to play fighting games. Which also, yesterday was a funny thing. I actually won against a platinum ranked player in Street Fighter 6, and it was like my first time winning like an FT3 or an FT2. I think it was an FT2, not an FT3. It was my first time winning against a platinum rank, which was like an achievement for me because I never won against a platinum rank in the past. And I'm still silver. So I was like, what? Go! I was just playing on Battle Hub actually. Battle Hub Japan. I was playing in Battle Hub Japan in one of the Asia servers basically. So like some Japanese person playing against them. And they were not playing easy. They were playing Ryu and they were playing really good Ryu, at least for their ranking. Um Lost the first round, won the second round, won the final round. It was an FT2. Uh, so that was like a good achievement, first time achievement. Yeah, I can actually do it. I can pull it off. So yeah, there's a whole sense of excitement in playing fighting games, and that's like the whole reason why I just wanted to work on only fighting games in the future. If there is any company that is watching this stream, you know that I want to work on fighting games. Just putting it out there. I don't know, man. They'll probably not even be watching this shit. They'll be like, what the hell is this guy talking about, man? Hey, but I can design, okay? I can really actually design. I have confidence in my skills because I've been doing it for a while now. But yeah, playing fighting games in my free time and then working on stuff that is like, concept work that is like also related to fighting games. That's pretty much what I want to do for the rest of my life. Maybe every now and then, maybe I might create like a beat 'em up game or maybe some other kind of platformer game. But like, nah, I would want to stick to fighting games for the majority of my human life, which will be easier to work on. It's like this. You just need to work on some stuff and you will be able to pull off consistent against other plat players. Yes, yes, yes. I intend to practice that way. I realized that I was uh, I was also labbing incorrectly. I mean, there is no right or wrong way exactly to do it, but I was not using the full extent of the practice mode or the training mode that Street Fighter 6 has. Like how you could record certain moves for the NPC character, and then the NPC character would perform it at random or like after successions or like after counters or whatever. Like I was not using that to the full extent until recently. That's when I realized, oh shit, you could do that. Like it has so many options, and you can like input like multiple recordings together, and then like put it on a random, and then it'll do like random move sets and all that stuff. So I was just like, holy shit, I didn't know it had all these features. Um, and I'm not good at blocking, so like I was also teaching myself like how to block, then also listening to like Deku, who was here like in the last stream, like listening to Deku. Deku was like literally telling like you know like just understand that you want to pace the game to yourself to a certain degree and like take away certain options for your opponent so that then it becomes like your guesswork becomes kind of intelligent or like easier for you, that you know when to block and when not to block kind of thing. So yeah, that stuff is great. Recording stuff and playing it at random and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know, man. Street Fighter 6 has a lot of features that I've not explored yet. So I was just like, it's a lot to process for somebody like me. I'm more of a smooth brain in those matters. But yeah, it's really cool. And at the same time, playing other fighting games made me realize like how much difference between like one game has to the other. Like Street Fighter is different, Garo Fatal Fury is different, KOF has its own thing going on. Um, then what was the other game that I just recently played? Yeah, I was also playing Idol Showdown, which has its own thing going on, and I was just like, what? It does have the same relative base mechanics, but like yes, overall gameplay is like so much more different, and it's nice. It's nice. Variations in games is a good thing. It just creates more. Uh, how do you say it? It just creates more options for people to get into different kinds of games. Because if I was to create a game, like from a designer's perspective, if I was to create a game, um, which is a fighting game, and I create the same exact game as a Street Fighter or the same exact game as a KOF, people would be like, why would I leave KOF and come to your game? Or at the same time, if I created the same games, new players who want to play fighting games, never played fighting games in the past, and are unable to join the existing community, which has like a lot more experience. Like, say for example, there's a new player who's getting into Street Fighter, but like the existing community has like 20 plus years of like experience playing Street Fighter. This new player is gonna feel like left out like crazy. They'll be like, I don't know how to play this game. I'm learning, but it's very, very difficult to play against other people because I keep losing. And like nobody actually likes to lose all the time. Like this is something that's happening to me as well. The more I'm playing, the more I'm realizing how much I dislike losing. Like I will be fair and I will be not aggressive on the loss, but I also don't like it. And it feels bad. It feels like shit. Not gonna lie. And that's okay, you know? So the point is that a new from a new player's perspective, just losing like 20 matches in a row is a pain. No one's gonna like that. So as a game designer, you'll be asking yourself like, how can I introduce new players into fighting games, help them learn how to play fighting games from the new game, and then they can transition into the other existing genres, which has a much more experienced player base. Like there's this whole concept in game design that's going on like this. So that's actually very difficult to pull off. But if you can pull it off, um, you're making a really good game then. And that's basically how you introduce people to a different genre of video games. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know a lot of people. Lamau, I myself was on a losing streak on Third Strike for months. Yes, that's the reason why I stopped playing Third Strike in the middle. I was just like fed up losing, dude. Like every single person I used to play an FT2, FT2, FT3 match on Fightcade, I used to keep losing. I was just like, I can't play Third Strike anymore. And I went into Street Fighter 6, I started winning matches. I came back to Third Strike and I started winning matches in Third Strike as well. So what happened is that I don't know, it transitions. Like certain knowledge from your other fighting game will transition into the one you're playing. And this is very true in a game design perspective. So when I was like reading uh, this documentation and at the same time watching this video about uh, the culture and collection or archiving of fighting games. I don't remember the title of that video, but it was a GDC video. Um, and this person was explaining the difference as well as designing fighting games for newer audience, existing audience, and how if you introduce a fighting game to a newer audience, there is a likely chance that you will lose the existing audience as well. Like you, yeah, carry on from fighting game to fighting game. That's true. So there was this whole explanation of this person, and what they were saying was, say for example, I introduced Smash, right? I introduced Smash, and Smash is just out. It's 1994, 95, or whatever. Smash is just out, right? Smash has a relatively easier learning curve, but a difficult curve to master. That is basically what Sakurai's intention was when he was designing Smash. And when he came out with Smash, it a lot of people who were playing Smash and got good at it at some point transitioned into like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should try the traditional fighting games as well. And they transitioned into that. And they started playing like Street Fighter, which is like a much harder learning curve, especially 90s and like up to Third Strike. Street Fighter had a very hard learning curve solely because there was not enough information on like how to play that game correctly. So people used to spam shit like crazy. So like I was just watching all this footage and I was like, holy shit, I did not know people used to play like that. And people now like are much more technical in the game than what they used to be back then. There were only few players who were technical back then, and I was like, I didn't know there was like this level of history until I actually went like went down that rabbit hole and took a deep dive into understanding how game design worked and I was impressed. Honestly, I was impressed. I didn't even know. And there's a lot more for me to actually go through. But like, the point is that how each game cultivates you to play another of the same genre is impressive. Something that shooter games I think don't do so much, or like sports games don't do so much. Somehow fighting games do it. So I don't know. I hold like a little higher regard to fighting games now because of these reasons than other genres. Not saying that the other genres are bad. It's just sorry, man. It's I was impressed. So yeah, that's basically the whole reason why I was like, nah, I just want to play more fighting games or even learn how to make them. Probably will. And if this is successful, yeah, info was really get kept back in the day between pros. Yeah, yeah. Professionals used to keep gatekeep. There's a whole article on I don't remember what's his name. James Chen. James Chen. I think that's he. I know who. I know it's he's the commentator. Uh, Sports games motivate you to play the same game with just a different what is that? Okay, on the title. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. yeah, the idea of those games was, yes, you're right. The idea of those games was that they want to keep you at the same game. They don't want you to play, they don't want you to move on. Because for them it's like we're making money as long as this player as long as we have a huge player retention. Uh, but fighting games don't work that way. They're like the one genre that has skewed every single notion of how to retain players. So like that's the reason why like 22 I was predicting that there's gonna be a burst of like a lot of fighting games, like at least within my dev community. I was like telling them like, look, there is gonna be a outburst of a lot of fighting games gonna come out. And this was just a prediction back then. I'm not saying like I told you so kind of thing, but like um I was predicting that there's going to be a lot of fighting games coming out because Street Fighter 6 was announced. And I was like, okay, if Street Fighter 6 is announced, that means there's probably going to be a Tekken coming out. There's probably going to be a Mortal Kombat coming out. There's probably going to be like maybe another two more titles coming up. There'll be at least five titles minimum that's going to be coming up. Turns out Street Fighter 6 did come out. Tekken 8 did come out. Mortal Kombat 1 came out, right? Riot said like, oh yeah, we're making a fighting game where Riot was never made a fighting game before. And Multiverses, which is weird, but like it did come out, yes. And then additional to that, Idol Showdown, which was the indie fighting game, came out. And like on the from the top of my head, what else is there? Like there are like announcements and there are updates and whatnot. It's like Marvel vs. Capcom is getting like a I don't know, like a homage or something. So that's another thing that's popping out again. Like all sorts of things is happening, and it was like, yeah, uh examples. And what's that, metal heavy? Oh, meta. Oh, meta heavily. Yeah, yeah. So a lot of games started popping up. Guilty Gear is there. King of Fighters, Fatal Fury got announced. So what happened is like there's this whole burst of all these fighting games popping out, and so people were just like, and a lot of my friends were like, nah, I don't think so, that's gonna happen. Like at least back then they were like, I don't know. Then they were like, oh shit, dude, Street Fighter 6 is out. Oh shit, dude, Tekken's out. And I'm like, yeah, there's gonna be a golden age burst kind of thing happening again, all over again. It's just gonna be a trend. And then a lot of people are gonna jump into that bandwagon, and that's the worst part. That's the part which I'm not gonna be like very excited about. Like a lot of people are gonna jump into this bandwagon saying, hey, let's make a fighting game as well. And most of those people are not going to be actually paying attention to what worked. And like when you look fighting game history all the way to now, like what are the things that actually made a good fighting game a good fighting game? um so like, I mean, that's a subjective topic, but like they're not even going to look at that. They're going to be like, oh, like we're making a fighting game because it's a trend. If you're going to do that, you're probably not going to come up with a good idea, a good fighting game at all. But I wouldn't disregard and say like don't try it. I would say try it. Try making one. It's actually not very easy, so try making one and see how far you can reach. You'll probably not succeed. The first attempt of you making a fighting game, definitely not gonna succeed. I'll tell you right up, straight up to that. Uh, what I'm also working on, I don't know if how much I'll succeed. I probably won't succeed. It's fine. It's really fine. I'm not expecting to be like making money over one single game. I want to make more than one fighting game in the future. So that's basically how you that's basically how you grow. So yeah, that's I don't know, I guess that's what it is all about at the end of the day. The painting sides of things are doing its own thing. FG players eating good. They always will be eating good. I'll probably use... I need to create this old smoke particle effect. So I'm going back to the first thumbnail, adding a little more detail, like in the painting side of things. Coming back to actually talking on the topic. And I'm not really going to do a lot. Like, I know this one's not going to get selected, so I'm not really going to waste a lot of time. I'm just creating this for the sense of like, for an additional purpose of like, look, hey, look, I created more. But like, I know you're not interested, but hey, just look at it one more time. That's basically what I'm doing in this one. So yeah, this is like a very plain, dry shot of like that's about it, I guess. And probably take this. No, I don't want that. Don't want that. I could take from my other painting. There you go. There you go. But I don't know if one will get selected, but it's just, it is what it is. So that completes the 3 thumbnails, man. The first, second, and the third one. I have a feeling the second one will be selected. If I was to label these, 1 minute. Let's always label this. Don't ever not label these things. So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So I have a high likely feeling the second one itself is going to be selected, but the third one also might not. It depends on my team. But yeah, either one can be selected. I'm just like, hey, can we make this volcanic mountain thing? But the color palette is still very close to the original blue gradation thumbnail that I had created, so it will be just like that. Cheeky's going down, though. Shit, stream is getting longer and longer. Life advice with Cheeky 101. Bro, it's not life advice, it's just more like just doing. Oh shit, Scully's also here. Yo, welcome. It's not life advice, more like just having common sense, man. I mean, like playing against like Nilo here, who's there in the chat. They are like really good in fighting games. Like they play Street Fighter much better than me. So like when I'm listening to them or reading the comments that they tell me about like uh like how to play better fighting games and stuff, like I'm probably listening to them, and it's like very common sense kind of thing, and the only way to improve is like actually have common sense. So it just applies to everything. This artwork is giving me Mustafa vibes. I actually woke up to I mean, yes, it is giving Mustafa vibes. It is what it is. It's uncommon to have common sense nowadays. That is true. That is true, sir. That is very true. I don't know why, but that is very true. Lately, I've been seeing that problem in a lot of people. My first stream was like 1.5 hours long, and my 10th was 5 hours long. Yeah, I'll probably go down that route, man. I don't want to do like super long streams because painting like for 4 hours is like that is like killing yourself, man. You can't have like super long streams, especially if you're painting. The reason for that is your eyes need rest seeing those colors all the time. So like that common sense is a rare item. Yeah, man. Bro, common sense is more like an achievement award now. Like how Xbox has achievement unlocks, that's basically what common sense is now in real life. Common sense unlocked. I'm not even joking about that part.
But like most, coming back to like at least in developing video games is all about solving problems, right? And like if the more simple and more how do you say uh the more common sense is applied to like solving the problem in a video game, you likely do a good job. You won't have any problem like figuring out what things are going wrong. Not a dumbass. Yeah, pretty much, man. So, like, you know what? Since I'm already way past that mark, I'm gonna talk about it anyways. Um, like if I was to do this right now, if I look at all my characters, they're probably gonna be in the same color palette, right? This weird blue color palette because these are all like snow people, right? So what I'm doing is I'm deliberately, even though the environment is close to the same color palette, there's a difference in value. So the solution, this was my solution basically, difference in value because my team was like, hey, we want this color palette. We don't like I presented them other color palettes as well, but they were like, nah, we don't want those. We want this color palette. So I'm like, okay, the characters are blue, these guys are also blue, but like the environment is also blue. So what am I gonna do? So that's the reason why like I came up with this solution. Like, okay, more saturated like foreground. So like this is saturated. And this is not even me talking about like how to paint. This is more like just figuring out like what'll work kind of thing. So more saturated foreground and more desaturated background. So like all my colors in the background are actually desaturated compared to the foreground colors. The foreground colors are darker, it's stronger, it's more saturated. So that was like one of my options. And then similarly, I've really taken it up the notch in the third one. What I've done in the third one is like I've really reduced the darkness in this one, right? I've really reduced the darkness in the background. And I'm like, dude, like this is closer to whiteout. And it's like really desaturated because it doesn't really have like any strong colors. And I don't want it to. Because I want the foreground elements to pop out a little more. This will probably come out even stronger when the 3D artist actually makes the 3D version of this. All I know is like right now the level, like these platforms, these are already being made in 3D. So when the time comes, I'll actually showcase it in the stream. Um, Blue Among Real, Blue Among Us Real. Yeah, pretty much. But like, all I can say is like, these what do you say? These platforms are already being made in 3D. The character is probably going to be one of the other things that will slowly work in 3D. But like this background, they will probably take a day to finish this in 3D, or maybe 2 days tops. Knowing how my 3D team works with me. Uh, and they'll probably finish this up real quick, and then they'll just do adjustments of lightings um in the engine. I don't know when they're free. I will try to ask them to come on this stream. I won't be talking on that stream. I'll make them do the talking, and I will ask them to come on this stream and just like talk about how they made the background in the game engine. That's probably going to be something very useful that a lot of people would like to know. Like, I'm not saying like the people who are watching as well, but like other people who are like um in the future probably looking for something like this. So yeah, so this will be one of the many things that I'll probably pull into. Other than that, it's just it's just visual breakdown. Here, the mountain is in the center simply because I could put it in there. Sure, the mountain's more on the side. So this is like more like following the traditional rule of thirds kind of, process. So like, hey, look, mountain on the side, there's a river flowing this way, which directs towards the player that was probably going to spawn here. Yeah, I was thinking about that. And then like the rest of the bottom half is like all, molten lava. Same goes here. There's one player who's going to spawn here. So like I've kept the flow of the lava like this. Then one player spawns here and one player spawns here. So like you got these two things going down. Similarly, I do the same thing here. So it's like it's very planned out, like how I'm placing certain things. I'm not doing it naturally. Like I'm actually like thinking it through. Like, okay, yeah, what about the placement? How am I going to direct the eye of the viewer? And the background's actually complementing the foreground. That's basically what I want to do. So yeah, all that planning. So yeah, I think that's it for today's stream, man. I'm not gonna continue this further. I'll just get a review feedback on which is the final, and then the final one is just going to be painted in a big ass canvas. Maybe I can stream that, maybe I can't, because I also have to make the other characters of this game. A total of 4 characters are going to be made for this game. One which you already see on the screen as a tiny little feature, and then there are 3 more that will be coming. So there'll be 3 different characters. The intention was these characters look like toys, or at least I wanted them to be. So let's see how that goes. But like I wanted like this whole feature where all the characters are like epic toys in a video game, and these toys are fighting, but they're also like living creatures, toys. What was that movie? Toy Soldiers. Yeah, it was like it's like a toy soldier thing. I think. Like I like that movie, man. It was a good movie. Meaning Among. Yes, I guess. Yes, probably. Toys merch when? Probably if the game gets famous, toys merch. Yes, but that is also the reason why it's toys. I'm not joking. That was planned. Like there were 3 projects that we were thinking of. One, make a Smash like or a brawler platform game, which is actually easier to develop than a traditional fighting game. The second one was a fighting game, a pure fighting game that we wanted to make, but like all the characters are actual action figures that are fighting each other with stop motion animation. And we wanted like characters. Yeah, it is a big brain moment at that. We wanted characters that we wanted toy characters. The reason why we wanted toy characters is because it actually, if you're looking at it in a business aspect of like making games, game promotion, old school game promotion, and even like toys promotion used to be done through commercials and TV shows, and at the same time, uh, toy promotion would also be done through video games, right? Like, if you look at like the best case example, He-Man. He-Man is like the ultimate showcasing of how to sell toys, and it worked. It really worked, right? They made a whole animated TV show just so that they could like sell the toys in the store for kids. That was basically what He-Man was doing. Then Transformers came in. Then what else was there? There were so many things. Transformers, He-Man, basically anything that had Mattel's or Hasbro's label on it, everything was toys. Toys and TV shows and games were just a way to advertise the toys, because their toys was like the what do you say, the biggest market to get returns on. So like that's where video games was made. Like even if you look at the old school video games, movie-based video games, why were movie-based video games made back in the day? It was because they wanted to promote the movie. Like, so it was not just commercials, but they would run a campaign of making a video game that would help promote the movie so that they could do more sales and then eventually come out with more merchandise, which would then do even more sales. So back then, it was a very, very constructive and what do you say, transitional way of marketing and getting returns and in business and entertainment. But I don't know what happened now. It's like in 3 years of what? In 3 years, season 4 of SF6 will have Among Us Ryu as guest character. I don't know, dude, but if it can, then I'm okay with it. I mean, you'd see Among Us Ryu throwing like Hadoukens, which will be quite interesting. Or even a Denjin, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like electrifying Among Us Ryu then. But like yeah, it's brand promotion and merchandising to sustain the brand for longer periods of time. That's basically how the business was done back in the day. Now it's more like a gimmick. I don't know why they do that. They should just follow certain traditional rules because it worked back then. People have forgotten that, I guess you could say, or like they'll say like, "Oh, the marketscape has changed." No, trust me. If you do the old traditional route, sometimes people actually like it because it was more friendly than what it is now. Now it's more hostile, give me your money kind of thing, you know. Not all of it, but like quite a lot of them are like that. So like people are like, "Ah, no, not interested." Like for example, E.T. the movie, Shin Among Us, Shinku Among Us, Among Us. No. Brain rot, immediate brain rot. Yeah. Uh, I forgot what I was saying, but never mind. I think you guys got the point. Uh, yeah, but like video games back then were all about making like really cool stuff, and then they could like they could be also be merchandise in like different what do you say, streams, like toys, t-shirts and all that stuff. Oh yeah, E.T. Yes, E.T. had a game. E.T. had a game, right? E.T. the movie had a game, and that game was a promotion to the movie, but the game was like really bad. So, so it was like it didn't really do a lot of promotion to the movie. But yeah, that happens. Like if you look at old Star Wars movies, they all had games. Phantom Menace had a game. Uh, I don't remember Attack of the Clones having a game, but I remember when Attack of the Clones came out, Battlefront came out. That was like the game of the century, and Star Wars really took up the notch that time. And then Return of the Jedi had a game. I remember it was pretty okay, mediocre on PlayStation 2 and PC. I don't know about PC, but I knew it was there on PlayStation 2. Um, even ET, yeah. Yeah, ET was green as hell, man. I don't know, man. It was looking at a green screen all the time with like different tints of green. I don't know. Like that game was weird as hell. I was like, nah, I'm not touching that shit. Uh, but yeah, most of these games were like that. Like all movies used to have like a movie-based game coming out. Like the Harry Potter series, despite being a book which became a movie, there were games being created as well as toys to promote the movie and then in turn the book. Like everything was like planned out and laid off like, hey, look, we want to make fan stuff and like good merchandise and this is how we're gonna sell that. Ultimate Toy was like Hot Wheels and G.I. Joe, man. Nothing beats that shit, but like G.I. Joe also had a TV series to promote the toys. Like 3 different versions of it. That's the crazy part. So like, uh, yeah. Point is like all games were somehow promoted for other merchandise, and all other merchandise was somehow promoted for the game. That's how it used to work back in the day. Some of the movie tie-ins games were cash grabs. Yeah, they still are, no? Like the recent stuff is also like that. Some of So like it always keeps happening. So it's like people say it's a hit or miss, but it's more like how you're gonna attract the crowd and make it relatable to them. And who you're addressing it to. Like if you're making if you're making a game and a toy for kids between the age of 10 or like between the age of like 6 to 15 or something like that, then you're making a game in a certain aesthetic. I played Spider-Man 2 on PC. I enjoyed it as a kid, but it was so ass. Yeah, but you enjoyed it as a kid. The point is that. That was the point. You're talking about the old Spider-Man 2, right? Like the 2000, 2000, early 2000 era Spider-Man 2, I assume. The one with Electro as the main boss. I think it's that one. That game was good though. I mean, it for its time. If people look at it now, they'll be like, "Oh, look, this looks so shit." But like that game was good for its time. It had a lot of it had a lot of mechanics inside it. Like you had like city building to building web slinging attack fights. You had chase, right? Oh, not Enter Electro? Okay, which one was it? Oh, the Remy one? I've not played the Remy one. I haven't played the Remy one. To be fair, I've still not played it to date. I just know it had one really unique feature, which was like the dodge mechanic, because it used a form of puppet animation and a wireframe to like be able to dodge like individual body parts of the character, which looked real apparently looked very crazy but were cool at the same time. But I've not played that game. I've really not played that game. I've just played Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro. That game was like lit as fuck because that was like it had so many things going on in that game. Um like both Spider-Man 1, the one in which you're fighting Doc Ock and Carnage, and Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro. Both of these games were like really amazing. And it was like a true bad guy Olympics thing in that. There were so many villains in one single game. I was like, God damn, how are you gonna do how's Spider-Man gonna fight all of these in one day? That was the whole thing about that game, man. I've not played the movie-based games. None of the Spider-Man movie-based games I've played at all. Then I directly started playing Spider-Man. No, actually, I did play a Spider-Man movie-based game. I think it was the Amazing Spider-Man game or something. I don't know. And then after that, I straight up played the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 Spider-Man game. That's it. You had to point at him and click with your mouse and actually web swing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those Spider-Man games were dope. Carnage Doc Ock boss was like crazy. That was literally a chase scene. You couldn't fight him. You had to just run away from him at the end because he was like way too strong to beat. So like Spider-Man basically had to run for his life through a freaking exploding underground lab, undersea lab, I think. But like amazing game. Like if you look at that game had so much thing going, so many things going on. Chase mechanics. Yes, it was scary as a kid. The thing was, I didn't know Carnage existed in that. I did not know Carnage was a character until I played that game. Like for me, that game was the introduction to Carnage, and I was like, "What the hell? There's another symbiote." All I know is Venom, and this one looks even more crazy and scarier. I was like, "What?" Yeah, Carnage was like insane, but like amazing game. Like, anyways, I think I'll call it. We will continue these conversations next time, or probably on the Discord chats. And I will call it for today because I have to go and do other work, which involves meeting my accountant people and all that stuff for paying taxes. Yeah, that's shit also. So I can't waste a lot of time in my life becoming an adult. Yeah, Mr. Poppins does that for real thing a lot, so I'll try to get Mr. Poppins on stream once and ask, for real, bro? For real. Anyways, I shall see you probably tomorrow. You know, I'll announce if I'm doing it tomorrow, but yes, I shall see you till then. Thank you for stopping by to all the people and really appreciate it for chatting. But this is it for today.